This is some steep and loose scree ski, and this is really something. I'm not like loving this. There's like no hope for finding the trail, and we're just fighting through these bushes right now, and it's awful. Good morning and welcome to the first Summer in the Sierra adventure of 2023. I am here in the Southern Sierra region today, and I plan on climbing Lamont Peak and Spanish Needle, which are two SPS peaks in this region. Let's come along for the ride and see what I'm going to get into. It's going to be a ton of fun. So I parked on Canebrake Road at the Lamont Peak Trailhead, and right now we are at the Lamont Spur Trail, heading pretty much straight up. It's about 2.5 miles to the top, and I'm just happy to be out here hiking. This is our first look at Spanish Needle. That summit right there in the middle is what we're aiming for. But before we do that, we got to keep going up a little ways, get to the top of Lamont. We're just working our way up this sandy, kind of slippery trail. The biggest challenge so far has been navigating this trail. Like finding the trail and, brush that's not very dense is a little tricky, but there's been so many down trees. This is probably like the 15th down tree, like right across the trail, that I've had to navigate. This one has been pretty easy, but there's been a lot of really awkward sized ones that are like hard to go under, hard to go over, but we're gonna get there. Oh my gosh. There aren't more down trees. On the right, that's our first view of the summit of Lamont, and then off to the left you can see all these really cool pinnacles. It's a really nice ridge. Whoa. Pretty cool. Bet you there's a register somewhere over there. And look what we found, a summit register. And there's the top, woohoo! So I was taking a peek in the summit register. You never really know what you're gonna find. This first book, it's in the best shape and about half full. That was placed at about 2003. If you look back a little bit though, this other book that's definitely a little older, that has some that go all the way back to 1989, which I think is really interesting. But the last and oldest piece of paper right here, this has entries that go all the way back to 1961. I've never seen an entry that goes back further than that, so that was really, really cool. You never know what you're going to find in these summit registers. I never used to be about these summit registers, but I've really started enjoying them. People leave funny notes, and it's cool to see who's been here, and I think that, people have been coming here for such a long time really shows that people have been, pulled to the Sierra for hundreds of years. Here we are at the summit of Lamont Peak, and it is a very nice place to be. Got some birds flying around. I had a falcon already scream at me, which was kind of fun. And this is really nice. I've never been to this region before, so I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing. Right now we are looking, I believe this is west into the Domeland Wilderness. Shifting a little further, so now we're looking pretty much due north toward Kennedy Meadows. Get a little peek into the High Sierra. Visibility is a little worse than I was expecting. I can see one snow-capped peak that's probably Olancha, but I could be wrong. There's one more kind of socked-in peak over there that could also maybe be Olancha, I'm not sure. In the foreground we have those pinnacles, which are really, really interesting. Down low, that is the Lamont Meadow, and one of those peaks, I don't know if it's the peak in the foreground or the peak in the background, that's Sawtooth Peak. That's going to be tomorrow's objective. Looking over, that's another sort of just false summit of Lamont. Now we're looking pretty much due east. Once again, the middle of those three spires over there is Spanish Needle, which is my next objective. I'm going to pretty much start heading this way, hit the PCT before I veer off to do Spanish Needle. I lost what little trail there was, and we've been bushwhacking for a while. So I'm following the GPS. I'm really, really close to the trail, but this is what I've come through. This is what we're going through till we find it. Should be really close. This is that adventure factor. We did it. We made it out of the bushes, and we're back on what I'd consider to be a trail, even though it's really not all that maintained. Oh my gosh, that was by far the worst bushwhacking I've ever done in the Sierra. I'm usually above tree line, and it's just talus. And you live and die by your own route finding decisions, but oh, with this brush, it's really something. Kind of wish I wore pants. After that nonsense we had to deal with back there, which was really bad, it's really nice to be on a trail and covering some ground again. So that's where we were, and oh my gosh, that was such a bushwhack. Even though I did find the trail, I kind of kept losing it and finding it again, so I ended up doing a lot of bushwhacking, but I'm here. This beautiful patch of dirt is the PCT. Looks like a freeway compared to what I was just getting through. That saddle right there is where I'm gonna leave the trail for Spanish Needle. It feels so good to be on an established trail actually covering distance. Oh, I love moving. Don't really love bushwhacking. So we just got to the saddle. This is where we're gonna leave the trail. That's Spanish Needle up there. It's gonna be a little interesting, but doesn't look awful. You know what it is. Get it, get it. This has been exceptionally slow going so far. There's all these like little ribs and you're going just up and down and up and down. And we are obviously deep in the talus zone and it's pretty loose, so it's really taking a lot to keep moving, and there's no way we're moving fast. Being back in the talus zone is kind of bittersweet. It's kind of like an inevitability when you hike in the Sierra, but it's definitely not like my favorite. No one really looks forward to this. It's just what you have to endure to get to the top. All of this talus wrangling has me thinking about all the other times I've been through talus, and I've had plenty of horrendous experiences. Please let me know in the comment section what your worst talus experience was. I really want to hear about it. Love to compare some notes and share some stories. Check out what I found. It looks like I'm on an established route. I'm not going to call it a trail, but other people have definitely come this way. Yeah, we've just been whacking along through everything from sand to scree to loose rock to solid rock. I think we're going to that point on the left side of the screen, but we'll see as we get closer. We are on the ridge. Things are going a little faster. Morale is a little higher, which I'm really appreciating. And yeah, it looks like we're about to get into some of that second third, which is what we came here for. I'm about 99% sure that's the top right there, and I know that because that band of light rock right there is apparently the slab that's the crux of the route, or at least the mental crux of the route. So let's get there and get to the top really soon. Here we are, base of the slab, looking at the third class. I mean, this really doesn't look that bad. I got pretty off route in the gullies before I got here, and that was definitely a little more harrowing than this. This at least looks nice and solid. One last little section of nonsense. We're super close to the top. Like this is the top, as far as I know. See, hey, I see a register. Oh, this has got to be that step across move people talk about. Looks pretty shell. Woo! Taking a quick look at the register here. There's a nice new one from 2020. You can see Nate and Travis's summit from their SPS list FKT last year. I am the 6th person to sign this register this year, which I feel pretty good about. Honestly, like having a little bit of human traffic to follow was really nice. It kept me on route a little bit. And this register is another oldie. When was this placed? Placed 1964. Really not a lot of people come here. It's really cool to get to these places. I just got to the summit of Spanish Needle, which is my 30th SPS peak, something I'm really proud of, and that was a ride. From where I left the trail, for a while, it was super brutal. I chose to ignore trip reports, which was not a good plan, and I kind of went a little higher than I know I should have, and that was really awful. I was just in all this like really loose, really unstable, everything from like sand to trees to like loose gravel to like really exfoliating rock that was like not a lot of fun and was rattling me a little bit, and I was just fighting and feeling like I was going nowhere. I actually almost turned around. But soon after that, I was able to kind of follow a little track that some people had made from a previous attempt at this peak. And it eased, and by the time I got on the ridge, I actually was having a lot of fun, and I loved kind of just like riding that ridge to the end to get here. The slab wasn't that bad. There was a few moves after the slab that was like classic third class. Like this would be a really good peak to do if you're kind of, you know, getting into the scrambling, don't want a lot of third class, because like it's all pretty solid, not really that exposed, and the sections aren't really that long. Summit views from the top of Spanish Needle. So we are looking south right now. I believe once again that's Owens Peak, but I could be wrong. The little summit in the foreground is called the South Needle, a little lower than this one. We are now looking sort of west toward like the Sierra, Lake Isabella. That's kind of how I came in today. Looking over there in the center of the screen is Lamont Peak, which was the first peak of the day. You can kind of see like the rocky pinnacles. We're looking almost due north now. I have a slightly better view than I did earlier, so I might be able to see some higher peaks. I'll take the spotting scope out and see what I can see. That summit in the foreground is the South Needle, which a lot of people will bag after they do this one. I doubt I'm gonna head over there. I kind of want to start getting down. It's a little later than I want it to be. Looking north into the Sierra, it's beautiful. We're starting to swing now toward the east. Looking at the Owens Valley, into Nevada. A lot of desert down there. This is where kind of the mountains end and the Mojave Desert begins. So down there it's definitely really dry and really hot, and I'm kind of happy I'm up here where it's much more pleasant. We have started the descent. I came down the looker's right side of that. You can see kind of the diagonal ramp through here. Got to do a sort of fancy move around this tree. And then the slab is directly below us. That'll get me back on the ridge for a little bit, and then I just need to figure out where to drop down. The end of the technical ridge is over, and honestly that was a lot of fun. When you're up high on good rock doing, you know, third class moves and the holds are solid and you're not too exposed, it's a lot of fun. We're about to get back to the trail, which is going to be a little bit of nonsense. I think the plan is going to be to sort of drop low and then try to stay at about the same level as the saddle as I traverse over. I don't really want to go too low and have to make up for that on the way back to the saddle. This is some steep and loose scree ski, and this is really something. I'm not like loving this, because like there's not the dirt doesn't have that much like depth to it, so it's like don't know how far I'm gonna sink, and it's not really super confidence inspiring. It's so close, I feel like I can touch it. I should be there in about under 5 minutes. This has been horrendous. It's just like the slope is steep, there's like small loose rocks, like nothing's anchored, you can't trust a single foot. All right. That looks like a trail to me. Oh my goodness. Yay. The worst is over. Still got a little bit of misery though. So we're kind of cruising down the PCT for the next little while. I'm like 1.5 to 2 hours behind schedule at the moment, which is kind of to be expected. I do that pretty frequently. I was really hoping though this season I could like come out swinging. I've actually been running a lot, and that's definitely made a difference for my fitness. But just, you can have all the fitness in the world, but just the route finding, the talus, the looseness, like all of that just like really slows you down. It's tricky. Coming here always humbles you. I love it, but it always shows you that there's a lot to learn. And now I've left the PCT and we're back to this Lamont Spur Trail. I'm a little terrified. If I could be a little less bushwhacky than I was on the way down, that would be amazing. So pray for me. We'll see what we get into.
A few moments later.
And we are back to the nonsense. There's like no hope for finding the trail, and we're just fighting through these bushes right now, and it's awful. I'm so cut up. I'm so cut up that, you know, anytime I like see a bush or a tree or a twig or anything, like I just know it's gonna cause me pain. Look at what I found, a little nest with some eggies in it. I'm sure I scared away Mama Bird a minute or two ago, so I'm gonna keep rolling so she can come back. But this is cool, I haven't seen eggs in years. Back on the trail, this is the last little bit of uphill going up to the false summit, and then it's all downhill to the car. Should be able to stay on the trail by now. Really happy to be on something established. and have less than 2 miles to go to get to the car. We'll make it. Look what I see. I have never been more excited. Not a minute too soon. Oh. And 11 hours later, we are back at the car. That was a day. All the cross-country travel, the bushwhacking, the losing the trail really made it challenging. Happy I made it to the top of those 2 peaks. There were a lot of moments where I had a lot of fun, and then a lot of moments where I was getting brought through a car wash of twigs that really left me a little cut up. This seems to be kind of what happens early season of the Sierra. Last year I bit off way more than I could chew on that Mount Morgan Little Lakes Peak traverse. It was a really long day. And once again, here we are, a year older, supposed to be a year wiser, making pretty much the same mistakes. I'm just happy to be down safe in one piece. Now we're gonna go camp, get some dinner, and then continue this adventure. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you on another California adventure.